Hello and welcome back to another video on the Wrestle Debate and to another edition of NXT Out 10. And of course it's the first NXT since Stand and Deliver, which kind of got overshadowed by everything that went on over WrestleMania weekend. But for me it was still a pretty enjoyable show. And then on Raw last night, Braun Breaker became NXT champion out of nowhere, making the main event kind of relevant. But still an enjoyable show. Let's get straight into it with our new NXT champion, but not from this pay-per-view, from the Raw. Braun Breaker. Gunther came out of Imperium and said no one cared about Breaker's legacy. Gunther challenged him to a match by saying the only way Breaker can prove he is the best is by beating the ring general. Breaker accepted the challenge and that set the main event for tonight's episode of NXT. And Breaker versus Gunther, it seems like it all got rushed together, but I don't think anyone in the world is going to really complain about Breaker versus Gunther, and we definitely found that out later in the night, because of course it was a great match, but more on that later. Before we got the Creed brothers versus Imperium, Alexander and Creed were in the ring early on, and the latter was being isolated in the ring by Imperium. Brutus took a Finley roll, followed by a slam on the ropes before he finally managed to get the tag. Creed then knocked Fabian off the apron and hit a huge gut-wrench suplex on Bartel, but Eichner came back in and broke the pin. Eichner then walked out of the ring before Bartel could tag him in and walk backstage. Bartel was then left alone in the ring and his face was busted open as the Creeds hit their double team finisher on him and picked up the win. After the match, the hooded attackers from earlier showed up and the Creeds took them out of steel chairs. The attackers took off their masks and it turned out to be the NXT UK tag champs, Pretty Deadly. I don't really know that much about them, to be honest, so I'm going to reserve judgment on them, but it was still a pretty interesting debut for them. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. 6 out of 10 from me. Backstage, Toxic Attraction said that they were reclaiming their women's tag titles tonight before Grimes was out next with the North American title and said that he knew his dad was proud of him. He said that he wouldn't get complacent and take the title to the moon. Solo Sikoa came out and congratulated him before challenging into a match. Grimes accepted the challenge and the two shook hands before staring each other down in the ring. Interesting first feud. I'm interested to know which way it goes. I feel like it could go 50-50, but let's see. Joe Gacy was then being creepy again backstage before Zion Quinn and Draco Anthony got into an argument, and Quinn said that Anthony needed to learn some respect. Okay, nice, whatever. Before we got Dexter Lumis versus Duke Hudson. Lumis had control of the match early on and loaded on Hudson on the mat. Lasso managed to reverse a big move in the corner and dropped Lumis before getting near fall for lariat. Hudson locked in a hold, but Lumis got out with a backdrop. He then got the bulldog and got a spine buster before the match went outside the ring. The two were playing tug of war where their arms were joined around the ring, and Indian Heart Persia joined in because of course the referee was counting down, and Lumis and Hudson took each other out when Hartwell and Prost let go of them. The ladies tried to get Lumis and Hudson inside the ring to continue the match, but they both went outside and the whole group fell down at ringside. I don't know what this was all about. I'm still not a massive fan of this storyline, to be honest. 5 out of 10. And before we got Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Toxic Attraction, Jane and Raquel Gonzalez kicked off the match as Dolan snuck a tag while Jane was caught in a hold. I forgot the title, I forgot to mention. Kai was tagged in and she sent Dolan into the corner before getting a couple of roll-ups. Gonzalez was then tagged in and she lifted Dolan on her shoulders, but the latter countered with a cutter. Chu then came out to distract Gigi, but Mandy was at ringside and took her out. Raquel and Gonzalez and went from the Shinoga bomb, but Rose distracted them, letting JC Jane hit a chart. But Gonzalez bagged the Toxic Attraction and hit a Toxic Shock and picked up the win and the new NXT champions. What's the point of this freaking pay-per-view? We've already had 2 title changes since. It's just crazy. What was the point of just taking the title away from them? 5 out of 10. AJ Galante was out next and he invited Tony D'Angelo to the ring for a made man ceremony. The ceremony was underway and the fans chanted boring. Galante put a ring on D'Angelo and the latter now promoted to the Don of NXT, whatever that means. And Dakota Kai was then trashing the backstage area after losing her title, and that Mandy Rose said that she would not be safe. Before we got Nikita Lyons versus Lash Legend. Lash Legend got a boot early on and got near fall before locking in a hold. Legend then got a handstand moonsault before Nikita Lyons replied with a German suplex. 2 traded strikes before Lyons hit a big kick, then got a suplex for a near fall before Legend cancelled a pin in an attempt for a near fall of her own. Lyons then hit a spinning heel kick and did splits on top of Legend to pick up the victory. To be honest, I still think this match was very green. 5 out of 10 from me, but still a lot more to come from these two. In the parking lot, D'Angelo and Galante were on their way out when Santos showed up with Legado and told D'Angelo to stay out of his way. Interesting first feud after D'Angelo got rid of Ciampa, I suppose, but we'll see where it goes. Before we got Braun Breaker versus Gunther, and this one was for the title as well. Breaker had control of the match early on and took Gunther down to the mat. Gunther got a big boot but was taken down with a spear. Breaker then went for the finish but failed to lift the ring general. It looked like Breaker hurt his shoulder and he rolled out of the ring before Gunther sent him into the ring steps. During the commercials, Gunther was in control. When we returned, Breaker took a German suplex with some big chops. Breaker then hit a German suplex of his own before Gunther caught him on a hold. He then got a few near falls before trying to splash another corner. Breaker finally lifted Gunther up and planted him with a gorilla press power slam, however, for the victory. After the match, we saw Breaker's dad Rick on the title shot congratulating his son. The camera zoomed down. We saw that Steiner was being held captive by Gacy and Harlan. They obviously had a plan, and the show went on for the air, leaving us a cliffhanger. And yeah, really interesting to see where it's coming. But good to see Rick involved in this. Definitely will add some interest into this storyline for sure. Where obviously just went into the Hall of Fame. And yeah, I thought maybe Breaker v Gunther could main event next pay-per-view, but if it's Breaker v Gacy, I'd probably rather see Gunther. But I'm willing to see this, give this time and see where it goes. Overall this week, NXT gets a 6 out of 10 from me. I mean, this week's episode of NXT, I don't know what to say really about it. It was okay, there was some really good bits in it, the main event was an enjoyable match, but then there's just some random ass booking decisions that I don't really get. So yeah, I don't know, it kind of feels like Raw yesterday, where they failed to really capitalise on the momentum of Mania weekend, but we'll see where it all goes. But anyway guys, that's the video. Thanks very much for watching. To like, share, subscribe, any thoughts, comments down below, follow us on Instagram for daily wrestling news, and subscribe to us on screen, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.